Excel Hockey Academy. I am Brianna Welcome.
And I'm Q.
Today is November 5th, 1840, and today we are going to cover the topics of education, prison, and mentally insane reform.
Joining us today is Dorothy Dix, a woman changing the institutes for those who are mentally insane. Hello, Dorothy.
Hello.
Welcome to the EHA TV News.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
As you know, my name is Dorothy Dix. I am an American advocate on behalf of the mentally ill. Recently, I have created the first of many generations of mental asylums. Growing up, I lived with my grandmother in Boston, Massachusetts to get away from my alcoholic and abusive parents. I then began to teach neglected children and opened up a school in Boston. I was then forced to stop my teaching due to my horrid health episode and months of depression.
Oh no.
I then wrote devotional books and stories for children, including The Garland of Flora, during this sick time of mine. I was then encouraged to take a trip to Europe to better my health, and that is where I met British social reformers Elizabeth Fry and Samuel Tuke, who inspired me. I was introduced to the reform movement for care of the mentally ill in Great Britain, known as lunacy reform. Its members were making deep investigations of madhouses and asylums, publishing their studies in reports to the House of Commons. I decided to bring these ideas into America, and that is how it all began.
Wow, that's incredible. So tell me about your role as an American advocate for the mentally ill.
So while I was in Europe, I discovered the horrid plight of the mentally ill, as they were treated like criminals or worse. They were put in cages, beaten, chained up, and tied up. That is how I found my calling. I returned to the United States on a mission to make life better for the mentally ill. I started out by doing my own investigation into the treatment of the mentally ill in Massachusetts. I took detailed notes describing all I saw, then I presented my report to the state legislature. All of my hard work paid off when a bill was passed to improve and expand the mental hospital in Worcester. Working off of my initial success, I began to travel countries, lobbying for the improved care of the mentally ill. I went to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Illinois, and Louisiana.
That's a lot of states.
Legislation was passed in many of these states to improve and build mental hospitals.
It seems like your message was very loud and clear. How long did it take you to accomplish?
In total, I traveled about 60,000 miles in a span of 8 years, and I assembled my observations from first-hand experiences with the mentally ill.
That is very impressive. Thank you for sharing with us your contribution to reform and all of the work you have put in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Dorothy, for coming all the way up from New England to speak with us. Safe travels home.
Now we have another special guest, a man by the name of Horace Mann, whom is taking education to the next level. Welcome, Horace. Thank you for joining us here at EHA TV.
Pleasure to be here.
Many people are noticing your renovations to the education systems of America. Could you give our viewers an insight on what inspired you to make alterations?
As our communities and nation is continuing to develop, our youth is what will be the forefront for our country's future. I looked into our education systems, and what I discovered was the conditions were atrocious and the curriculum was subpar at best.
Could you further into the details of curriculum as a whole?
Of course, what I recognized was that these so-called learning environments were teaching with the ideas of limited opportunity for the students to thrive. The curriculum was strict Calvinism, and the only necessities were instructed, which were the basic reading and writing skills with the minimal math.
How is your new system better in terms of teaching requirements?
I want to change so that these children of our future are being taught to become more responsible citizens and that opportunities await.
We are hearing that you have established 6 principles for public education. Please elaborate on those, please.
I touch upon how no one should be discriminated, only embraced. All students must be taught and treated equally. The teachers must be professional, and the schools must be paid for, controlled, maintained by the public.
Well, that is amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for making a change.
Thank you as well.
Now, back to the news desk.
Oh, that's a shame.
I then began to teach neglected children and
Hello, Dorothy. Welcome to the EHA TV News. Today we have a few questions about you and your movement during this position.
I am an American advocate on behalf of the mentally ill. Recently, I've created the first of many generations of mental growing up.
Hello, Dorothy. Welcome to EHA TV.
Good.
Have your dad.
Hello, Dorothy. Welcome to EHA TV News. Today we have a few questions about you and your movement during this.